There has been quite a bit of movement since we last spoke just 24 short hours ago in the case that has captivated the nation, the disappearance, the apparent kidnapping of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie. This is like a roller coaster. I've been reading what y'all have been posting in the fish tank on Facebook, and I'm with you. I don't know how much more I can take of this. But we're going to have to because we want this woman found, brought home safely. Let's talk about what's changed just overnight. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend, and welcome back to the program. My name is Gavin. Thank you very much for joining me for another true crime conversation. This time we're continuing our coverage of the disappearance and apparent kidnapping of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Now, if you guys remember, she was last seen on Saturday, January 31st, if I have my dates correct. I should have notes on this. A professional would have notes. Yeah, Saturday, January 31st. She went to her daughter's home for dinner and games. She was brought back to the house. This is in the Tucson area of Arizona, and police say that the garage door opened, the garage door closed. And the next day, she was slated to be at church, whether that was in person or remote. I don't know. I've heard reports both ways. But she did not show, and the family was contacted. They went over to the house and found a crime scene, called police. Police came and started their investigation, and they were convinced pretty darn early on that this was an abduction, not, a wandering off or something less sinister. Now, yesterday, if you guys remember, I don't know how you could forget unless you're living in a true crime shielded hole, which I gotta say, some days I think that would be good for each of us. It's one of the reasons why I take the weekends off. I do Monday through Friday. You know what I forgot though? Hey, wherever you're joining me from, thank you. Please tell me in the comments where you're joining me from. I love that part. But anyway, yesterday, the FBI released images that were, according to them, recovered from the Nest camera, showing a masked marauder at the front doorstep of Nancy Guthrie's house, wearing black gloves, foreshadowing, a ski mask, and a gun, like in a very unique holster. You can see it in this picture on the front of his person. I do believe that is a male. I think the beard gives it away. Yeah, that is very unique. Looks like that's a Luger-style long-barreled pistol. Anyway, this was released yesterday. Now, last night, after we got off of the old program, a man was taken into custody and his home searched. Now, apparently, oh my goodness, I'm actually rather excited about this part. Apparently with a judicial warrant, right? With a warrant signed off by a judge, which, what does that mean? That means that they had to convince a judge that there was probable cause, that the scene would, have some evidence that would be pertinent to the investigation, and a judge signed off on that. I've not seen the affidavit of probable cause yet. If any of you guys have seen that, I searched for it. I haven't been able to find it, but if any of you guys have seen that, please let us know in the comments, and we will certainly grab that. Okay, so before we get into the details, because what ended up happening is a man was taken into custody. He was detained. He was slated to be taken to the police station to be questioned. His house was being searched, and then police went, I guess we don't have anything here after all, and released him. So what does that mean? I want to know what your thoughts are on that. Let me just check in with the live chat, see where you guys are coming in from. We got San Jose in the house. Thank you very much for being here, Emmy. What else have we got? This is reminding me, guys. I was scheduled to be on Courtroom Confidential tonight at, I think, 8 p.m. Eastern. We had to reschedule that. Josh is actually in Tucson and is working hard, so we had to reschedule that. It looks like I'll probably be on Courtroom Confidential, probably to talk about this case on Monday. Also, tomorrow, which will be Thursday, February 12th, for those of you watching on the Rewatch crew, I will not be doing a live stream as I have an appointment that I was not able to reschedule to a time that was outside of my broadcast time. So I'm very, very sorry about that. Nikki says, happy hump day from Bermuda. Thank you very much. Baltimore, Maryland in the house again. Lakeland, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida. Hello from Kansas City, Missouri. Burlington, Wisconsin. I don't even know how to say, is it Lock Butte, Colorado? I don't know. South Lake Tahoe is here. Good to see you, Sharona. Let's see. Saudi Daisy, Tennessee, Colorado, South Carolina, New Jersey, North Carolina, Calgary, Alberta, Texas, New Hampshire, Michigan, Edison, New Jersey, London, UK. Stuart, welcome. Glad you're here. Western Kentucky, Erie, PA, Inner Banks, North Carolina. You guys are from everywhere. Thank you very much. And hello to you in your hometown. Okie dokie. What I want to do first is I want to watch a video. We're going to watch this video right here from CBS this morning. The CBS Morning News. I'm not showing the entire clip. It's about 3 minutes and 40 seconds long. You'll see where I've edited it. You'll see the little white flash, but talking to the man who was detained and then released, a man named Carlos. Actually, before we get into this, let me just check. Yeah, we're going to do this. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Check your headphones, guys, because I don't have control over this audio. Headphone check in 3, 2, here we go.
Search for Nancy Guthrie, mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie, continues. Overnight, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department said they had conducted a search at a house in Rio Rico, Arizona, a community near the border that's about an hour south of Tucson, and that a person had been detained in connection to the case during a traffic stop.
I don't know anything.
This man says he was held and later released.
They just told me, stop moving. Like, what's your name? Carlos. And that's it. They put me in the cop car.
He also told reporters he works as a delivery driver and that he didn't know who Nancy or Savannah Guthrie are.
I don't follow the news. I hope they get the suspect, because I'm not it. They better do their job and find the suspect that did it so they can clear my name.
FBI Director Kash Patel said this on Fox News last night before it all began to unfold.
With any investigation, you are a person of interest until you're either eliminated or you're actually found to be the culprit or the culprits involved.
These developments came hours after the FBI released chilling new images of an armed, masked person wearing gloves outside Nancy Guthrie's home, captured by a security camera the night she went missing.
Hopefully the trap is closing on this suspect. Hopefully they feel that pressure. This is the break they needed.
Savannah Guthrie also posted the doorbell camera images on her social media Tuesday and a message saying, "We believe she is still alive. Bring her home."
Let's piece this together now with former FBI Assistant Director Stephen Jensen. Stephen, good morning. So we've got the recent surveillance video released, and now this person of interest being both detained and then released quickly. What do you make of that detention?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. In cases like this, it's not unusual for persons of interest to be identified detained during a law enforcement action like was described previously, a search warrant executed at the house. And if he left the house around the time they were going to execute, to temporarily detain him, identify him, see if he brought anything out of the house. It could also be based on a tip. And this is pure speculation, but if based on the release of the images, a tip identified him as a person of interest, the urgency behind a case like this to recover the victim alive, identify the subject, would warrant a temporary detention. What it also shows me is police are following the rule of law. They're only allowed to temporarily detain somebody without probable cause for a brief period of time that facilitates the needs of the investigation.
And, of course, as we just heard, he quickly spoke to reporters and the press, pleading his innocence, saying he knows nothing about this woman or this case at all. Let's talk about the surveillance video and images released on Tuesday, because there are questions as to if investigators already had possession of this footage and just hadn't shared it to the public until Tuesday, or if they finally were able to obtain it and release. What does it tell us that they did release it? Put pressure on the captors, or what?
So the timing of the release of a video like this in any investigation really balances the need for public awareness, public safety against the integrity of the investigation. I would imagine investigators had enough time to review the video, conduct thorough analysis, develop their own leads or potential leads off of what they have on the surveillance video, and then balance that against the need for public awareness. Can they generate more tips, more leads, possible identification of unique factors from that video, to include what appears to be a firearm on the front of his waistband and a unique looking holster? Maybe somebody saw those details and can provide a tip to law enforcement that results in a person being captured.
Okay, so speaking of tips, let me go over to. Got so many windows open, Gavin. Oh, first of all, let me just kind of show you where we are in the world, right? So in the United States, Arizona is in the southwest, Tucson is in the south of the state, and the town where he was picked up is called Rio Rico. It's very, very close to the U.S.-Mexico border. So let's see. I wanted to come on over here to NBCnews.com. This was just a couple hours ago. Pima County Sheriff's Office says it's fielded more than 4,000 tips since the images were released yesterday. So going off of what the assistant director just said, the former assistant director just said, I'm sure that they released those images just to try to get more tips. Says that they've received 18,000 calls with tips since February 1. So a lot going on there. Now, getting back, there's another video I want to show you. This from Fox News, this a little bit later in the day, but still today, talking to a couple of investigative experts, talking about several things, including the detention of Carlos down there in Rio Rico. Have a listen.
Well, they certainly know more than we do, Bill, obviously, because, they were crunching at this Google data to reconstruct the video now for 10 days, we heard, and yet none of us knew that was going on. We thought that the video was going to be a dead end, and as we talked about earlier today, the digital footprint that the Nest camera left was able to be reconstructed into imagery. So one of the things I would think they almost certainly are doing is going at other cameras that might have picked him up, not only at the location, because she reportedly had a series of other cameras, but maybe even the neighborhood stuff that they think they might have gotten other information that using the same technique, you could potentially reconstruct some worthwhile video. The other thing I would think you'd be going at very, very hard here is what he's wearing. I've seen some reporting where the sweatshirt he is wearing looks pretty identified. I don't want to be sort of conclusive about that because I haven't seen both of them up close, obviously. But if I got there, you can bet the task force has gotten there. So you look at that, you look at the backpack, maybe the gloves, maybe the shoes. There are a number of commonalities there. If you put them all together, you can say, well, who's bought all of these things in the last, 3 months, 6 months in the Tucson area, maybe the whole state? And if that sounds like a needle in a haystack, let me just remind our viewers that the D.C. bomber case where that
this is important.
alleged bomber put a device outside both the RNC and the DNC. Bureau was able to reconstruct that case to the extent that they got the perp's purchase history for the batteries because the devices didn't detonate, and they were able to get where he bought the batteries, and that was a significant break in that case, and after 4 years, they ultimately got that one.
As we reported, there was a person that was picked up and questioned and then released, and the question is that encouraging in that there is information visually from these images that are leading to a wider net or a specific net, or does that feel like a step back in that obviously that person was not the right identified person?
Well, we saw that at the Brown University shooting, right? They brought someone in initially that was not the proper perpetrator, right? But that person may have given information. Here, it doesn't seem like this individual had a lot of information to give. What I found most interesting about the raid, and Paul, you may want to weigh in on this with me, but the search of the house was the fact that the police had to have some information that made a court feel like signing a warrant for his home.
Yeah, that is the big question for me. They signed a search warrant for the home and just did a temporary detention, then let him go. It's weird.
Was a warranted thing to do. And so given the fact that they went into that house, I'm wondering if maybe they found a car that matched a license plate at the Circle K, because they had gone to the Circle K to get the recordings that they had, and they asked for specific times. They asked for, men on camera. So I'm wondering if maybe he had stopped at that Circle K. And if we look at the visual of the person that goes up to Nancy's door, from a body type, height, weight, they're able to make those comparisons. You look at the archway and the door, you can see how tall someone maybe is. You can look at the tiles on the floor. You can kind of figure out shoe size. So maybe from that demographic, they were able to determine that this person stopped at the Circle K, and that's how they got to him. But it doesn't seem like there was much more from that. But what I'm hoping is that that evidence is going to lead to others that put us in the same boat where they have more people to go and talk to.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it could definitely be the case. They got probable cause. I haven't seen the affidavit. I'm trying to get a hold of it. All I would add to that is you have to have more than somebody saying, hey, I think I recognize that guy's walk. You're not going to get a search warrant of a home, especially since he was kind of guesting there. He's living with his in-laws. Legally, you had to have enough to get in there and to scrape that house. So I think, Donna, you're right. Whether it's a Circle K, I don't know. None of us do. He's a DoorDash delivery guy, supposedly, so maybe he was in the area of the house at a time that's kind of odd. Maybe he had done a search looking for the house because he said it's possible that he had delivered there. So maybe they say, okay, he searched for the address of the house. He was there at 3 in the morning for some reason, or in the vicinity of. Somebody gave us this tip. That's how we got onto him. So, or the car tripped a license plate reader. If I had to guess, it's going to be a few factors like this. Some of this digital dust that we talk about that people leave with a tip potentially that got them onto him. And ultimately, as of now, what looked very good last night, especially when we had the information they were supposedly bringing him back here to Pima County to debrief him in the jail, the local jail. You don't do that unless you're about 9/10 there. That turned out to not be accurate. They cut him loose down in that town by the border. And so that one, as of now, seems to have washed out.
Okay, so that was the most important part to me. Is like, okay, they got a judge to sign off on a warrant on this thing, and then it turned out to be nothing, apparently. And this guy was like, hey, I don't really watch the news. I don't know who they are, but I hope they get the guy. And before we go on to the rest of today's news, I just want to check in with you guys, see what you are saying. Let's see. Barb thinks that I should have Javi host the show tomorrow. Javi's untrained at this point. He's really good at pushing buttons and turning knobs, but yeah. I'm sorry. We're just gonna have to forego. G Smile Sarah, I feel so bad for Carlos and his family. At least he was able to kind of laugh about it, but I don't know how he can move on without feeling watched all the time. Yeah, and good on him for kind of going out in front of the cameras and saying, yeah, this is what they were looking for, and this is what they were doing. Very interesting to see what it would be a twist if all roads lead back to him, right? Nancy then says, Gavin, it feels to me that money is not the primary motive in this. Maybe revenge. Maybe something in Savannah's past as a lawyer, blaming her for some kind of loss and wanting her to pay emotionally. So in a lot of these cases, in a lot of these cases, there are lots of possibilities, right? Possibilities for motive and so forth. I think that I can't remember which razor it is. Is it Occam's razor? I can't remember. The most I can't remember even the razor now. I can't even quote it. But basically, what is the most probable thing? To me, it feels financially motivated, but that's just me, and we can disagree with one another without being disagreeable. I appreciate your comment. Tanya Jones says, oh, and Gavin, they said earlier that they found a camera that wasn't hers on her pool house pointed at her backyard. Like a trail cam of some sort? I don't know. Joyce says, it seems odd that a kidnapper would contact TMZ. Yeah, that is strange. That is strange. Cold Aquarius says, the mother-in-law said there was no warrant. Did that change? So I've heard two different things. I've heard that she said she invited them in. And I've also heard that there was a warrant that was signed by a judge. Now, both of those things don't have to be mutually exclusive. They could come and say, we've got a warrant to search your premises. And she'd say, well, come on in. Right? And then when the media asks her, she'd say, yeah, I invited them in. So it doesn't have to be, both things can be true at the same time. Yeah, there are wildlife cameras throughout the whole area. So yeah, thanks for that. Now, on to the news of the day. Now that we have caught up, this came out just about an hour ago, maybe an hour and 20 minutes ago, this coming to us from the New York Post. Investigators find a black glove during their hunt for Nancy Guthrie's kidnappers, and the Post was there. So it appears that that is a photo of a black latex glove in the plant life down there, the kind of desert plant life in Arizona. So let's read what the New York Post has to say. I haven't read this article yet. Dateline Tucson, FBI agents have recovered a black glove from a roadside near Nancy Guthrie's house. Potentially, guys. Oh, hold on. No, it's not happening. Okay, I thought I was going to have to bring up the king of the underwater jungle, I should say. Okay, potentially a major clue in the search for the masked thug. Oh, this is definitely written by the New York Post, who is suspected of abducting the 84-year-old woman, the Post can reveal. Detectives found the clothing item, which resembles the pair worn by the armed perpetrator caught on video about 1.5 miles from the home of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother. When they find Nancy Guthrie, and I'm holding out hope that they're going to find her, and this is going to be low on their list of priorities, but when they find Nancy Guthrie, I think she's probably going to have to move. We all know where she lives. The media's been camped out outside her house. For her own safety and privacy, she's probably going to have to move. Video and photos show at least one member of the FBI evidence response team. Now, here we go. Dang it. I do love that button. That's a good button. Okay. At least one member of the FBI evidence response team pulling the glove from the low desert shrubbery in Guthrie's secluded desert suburb at the edge of Tucson. Authorities have not identified any suspects behind the presumed kidnapping, in which Guthrie seems to have been forced from her home, leaving a trail of blood behind. However, on Tuesday, the FBI released footage of a man with black gloves, ski mask, blah, 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 blah. They detained a person of interest. The FBI discovered the glove as part of an extensive search of the neighborhood in which agents were out in force combing the roadsides. Quote, "We appreciate the assistance and support we have received from the Tucson community." Dude, dang it! Ugh. Oh my goodness. The FBI said in a statement reminding the public of the $50,000 reward for information leading to Nancy Guthrie's recovery. Investigators would not comment when asked about potential piece of evidence. The person of interest arrested Tuesday, well, detained, I think is the better word, was Carlos Palazuelos, a delivery driver from the border town of Rio Rico, who was slapped in cuffs after being pulled over south of Tucson. Palazuelos, now free, insisted he had nothing to do with Guthrie's abduction, hadn't even heard of the woman, and demanded an apology from authorities. I wouldn't hold your breath for that apology, sir. Okay, and then this is going to be our segue. Meanwhile, a mysterious note was sent to TMZ Wednesday morning demanding a Bitcoin transfer in exchange for information about Guthrie's captor. Now, this has me...
I'm PIST! That's right, yeah!
This is horrible that a person would do this, but let's go ahead and read from TMZ.com from today. New Nancy Guthrie note, sender demands 1 Bitcoin for info on kidnapping suspect. You could just, if you know something, tell the police. There is a reward. Crying out loud. I bet this is another hoax. There is a new note. Holding it back. Dang it. We've had too many ons already. There's a new note in the Nancy Guthrie case, but this one doesn't seem to be from the kidnapper. Instead, it's from someone offering to give up information on the kidnapper. TMZ received the note just before 5 a.m. Pacific time, and the sender claims they've tried unsuccessfully to reach Savannah Guthrie's brother Cameron and her sister Annie by email and text. The note goes on, quote, "If they want the name of the individual involved, then I want 1 Bitcoin to the following wallet. Time is more than relevant," close quote. There is a legitimate Bitcoin address in the note, and it is a different address from the one in the original ransom note received by TMZ and 2 Tucson TV news stations. We have forwarded this note to the FBI. It's unclear if the sender of this note is legit, but interestingly, 1 Bitcoin is worth about $66,000 right now. You'll recall law enforcement is currently offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to Nancy's kidnappers. Oh, goodness sake, fish. Okay, this comes less than 24 hours after a flurry of activity in the case. Again, on Tuesday, they released the images, and then in the evening, they pulled over Mr. Palazuelos. So that seems to be the latest update in the case. I'm just going to check real quick to see if there are any new updates coming out of NBC News. FBI says no update to provide on the investigation as of about 20 minutes ago. So yeah, no new updates on the investigation out of the FBI or Pima County Sheriffs. And that is where we are. Now let's bring Ms. Guthrie's photo up one more time and come on over to what you are saying over here on the old live chat. Autumn is saying, "Oh, please have DNA." Yeah, I hope that glove has it. Tanya Jones, I'm not following. Like someone installed a Ring camera while she wasn't there? I'm not following you. Mizzo Tigers says TMZ lies. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of TMZ either. They are what they are, right? They are a gossip kind of kind of site. However, when they're right, they're right. And they did receive that first ransom note. That's been confirmed. They're saying they received this this letter that they forwarded on to the FBI. So I don't feel like this is going to be one of those things that turns out to be untrue. Tiffany K. Plot twist. Someone at TMZ is involved. That's funny. Joanne says, the broader that social media gets, it seems that more people are getting unscrupulous. Yeah. Let's see. Wanda Helm says, I saw the interview with the mother-in-law. She asked for a warrant and they said they didn't need one. They also busted her door. Yeah, I actually heard that there were two damages to doors. I don't know this. Again, though, if that is what she said, then that's what she said. What police are reporting is that there was a warrant. I don't know. Tanya says, someone installed installed a camera on her pool house facing her backyard. They were trying to track where the signal goes back to. Oh, so it was a Wi-Fi enabled or some sort of wireless enabled camera. Interesting. Yeah, TMZ, yeah, their entertainment, yeah, they do want more viewers. And again, are those facts mutually exclusive from they also received a letter, an email? I believe that they received an email. They report it, and so I don't know it, but that's what I tend to believe. So yeah. Autumn says right now one Bitcoin is $67,009. Yeah, where is my water? My water is right here. Okie dokie. Robin is in the house. I'm glad you're here, Robin. Thanks for being here. Okay, so that's the update from today. Doesn't seem to be anything else going our way in the case, but we will continue to keep our finger on the pulse of this, and we'll continue to cover it. And for now, man, I just really hope for her safe return. Yeah, it does get less and less likely the more time passes, but I am holding out hope that it does happen. And with that, let's hop on in to 3 questions. Here we go.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Pow! Okay, in this segment, my friends, we answer 3 questions sent in to me by you to the email address on the screen right now, which is 3questions@gavinfish.com. 3questions@gavinfish.com. Spell it out, THREE, questions@gavinfish.com, and I will endeavor to answer every question that I get, and will do so honestly and completely to the best of my ability, so help me. Yeah, I don't want to invoke the name of the Almighty in this one. It seems rather frivolous, but you guys get what I'm saying. Question number 1 is, how did you get into true crime reporting? Yeah, so I'm not a journalism major or somebody who was even on that track at all. The only journalism, I've had 2 journalism courses in my life. One was in 6th grade for the newspaper, the Trajan Times, at Trajan Elementary School in Orangevale, California. And the other was as the associate editor of photography for my high school yearbook. That's all I got, man. During the pandemic, my business completely died. My business was I had worked in high-end audio as a sales and marketing executive. I had worked my way up to the C-suite at a manufacturing company, and I helped to build that company to the point where it was time for me to exit. And when I did, I started my own company, helping other high-end audio companies market and do sales. During the pandemic, when dealerships were closed, that meant that distributors couldn't sell, which meant manufacturers couldn't sell, which meant my business went out of business. And so I was talking with my friend Rick Tracewell, and Rick said, "Why don't we try YouTube? There are people all over YouTube that are making a good living, and they can't be smarter than us. And in hindsight, they are smarter than us." But at the time, I was like, you know what? You're right. We should do this. What should we do? And he said, how about true crime? Because we had to pick a niche. And I said, I mean, okay, let's see if we can find cases. And when we kind of broke up our huddle and reunited remotely with one another the next day, we had cases to look at, and we got into it, and boy, did I enjoy it. I'm not a person who grew up enjoying or consuming true crime at all. And so it was my friend Rick Tracewell that got me into this. We started a channel called Solve Crimes with Rick and Gavin, and we built that up to about 2,000 subscribers. We were doing good work, but it just I needed to do my own thing. So I went over to my channel where I uploaded my first video and went from there. Now, about a year later, I was hired by a local news organization called EYT Media that covers Clarion, Venango, and Jefferson counties in Western Pennsylvania. It's an online news publication, to write features for them about crime, and then ended up kind of working the news desk, and then started covering crime in our area, going to trials and crime scenes and the whole shebang. So that's how I got into it. That was a long-winded answer, but thank you for the question. Question number 2. What is one special quality that you love about each of your children? Yeah, this is actually easy. I try to stay away from talking about the kids too much, just for security, privacy reasons. So we have 5 kids. I will say this. One of them is a terrific teacher. Very good at teaching. And she just loves kids. She's a real nurturer. She's great. Next, I would say this is a special quality. He likes to please people, and he goes out of his way to be a helpful, kind, and generous soul. Our next child, she is endlessly inquisitive and curious. Our next child is just super sweet. You get cavities in your teeth being around him too long. He's just the sweetest, nicest kid. And then number 5, I would say, I love how feisty she is. She is feisty. And tell me about your kiddos in the live chat. What do you love about your kids? Special qualities. Then question number 3, what are your top 3 musical artists and or songs? Oh my goodness. Guys, I can't narrow it down to 3. I just can't narrow it down to 3. Right now, I'm listening to a lot of sentimental music, so I'm listening to like Bad English. I'm listening to Scorpions. I'm listening to Depeche Mode, Pet Shop Boys, OMD. But then I really love going back to Motown. I love I love Gladys Knight and the Pips. I just found out today that Midnight Train to Georgia was a cover. I had no idea. The first recording was Midnight Plane to Houston. So yeah, I don't know. I always love classic rock. Fleetwood Mac, Floyd, Zeppelin. In high school, I was more of a kind of synth pop kid, and then I've always loved musical theater, so I listened a lot of that. On the Latin side of things, I listened to a lot of Fito Páez. I listened to old Shakira, like 1990s, early 2000s Shakira. I really love her. I love La Portuaria. I love Donato y Stefano. I love the Gypsy Kings. I can't narrow it down to 3 musical artists or songs. Come on. That's just tough, man. Tough. Tell me what your top 3 musical artists and or songs are in the live chat. And just so I can give you enough time for your little thumbs to tell me what it is that you love, your answers to these 3 questions, let's go over some headlines.
True crime headlines.
Okie dokie. Headline number 1 brought to us by KSBY, Catherine Herndon. Ashley Buzzard absent from latest court hearing. Proceedings move forward. The case against a Vandenberg Village woman accused of murdering her little girl, here she is, her young daughter, went back before a Lompoc judge on Wednesday. Ashley Buzzard did not appear for the hearing due to an illness, her public defender told the court, but her absence did not delay the planned hearing. Santa Barbara County Superior Court Judge Stephen Dunkel approved a motion by the defense to admonish anyone from the public who displays disruptive behavior in court. Public defender Erica Sutherland, who is representing Buzzard, stated her client heard comments made by someone in the audience during the last hearing and was left feeling intimidated. Well, you poor dear. Judge Dunkel acknowledged that while it's an emotionally charged case, the public must comply with courtroom rules. He stated that further disruptions from the public will result in contempt of court, which could lead to being banned from attending future hearings, fines, or possible jail time. And then the focus then turned to requested court documents in the case. Sutherland stated she had received some discovery, but not all of it. A future court date was set for March 4th. Sutherland states she hopes to have received enough documents related to the case, including search warrants, by that time to set a preliminary hearing date. It did not appear that any friends or family of Melody's were in court for the latest hearing. So that's what's going on in the Melody Buzzard case, the prosecution against her mother, Ashley Buzzard. Remember yesterday when Anna Kepner's mother said that the stepbrother was going to be charged with homicide? This from people.com, written by Chris Spargo. Anna Kepner's mother admits she was misinformed about charges against stepbrother. Heather Wright, the mother of Anna Kepner, had incorrectly claimed her daughter's stepbrother was charged with murder, but now she admits she was misinformed. It has been more than 3 months. Yeah. Even Heather Wright, the victim's biological mother, is finding it hard to get information about the investigation into her own daughter's death. Of course. Over the weekend, Wright posted a video incorrectly stating that Anna's stepbrother was being charged with murder. She now tells people that this is not the case. Well, apparently I was misinformed, Wright says, adding that she does not know whether any charges have been filed against the stepbrother at this time. A complaint is yet to be released in the case, and it is not clear whether the stepbrother has been formally accused of any wrongdoing. Wright did say she believes the case against the stepbrother, who is 16, is in juvenile court, though she said there's nobody really keeping me in the loop. Yeah, maybe not talk to the media, Ms. Wright. And then finally, this came in yesterday. I've actually got the doc. I want to talk to Elizabeth Jones about this. This brought to us by WJHL, written by Faith Little. Attorneys seek DP exclusion for Sean Mickey Steins. Dateline, Letcher County, Kentucky. Attorneys for jailed former Letcher County, Kentucky Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins have submitted a motion to exclude the DP from his trial for first-degree murder. Steins is accused of shooting and killing District Judge Kevin Mullins. I should have Judge Mullins here. In December 2025, Stein's attorneys sought the recusal of the judge presiding over the trial. The motion seeking Judge Christopher Coran's recusal cites Kentucky state law, claims that Coran's impartiality as a judge in the case might be reasonably questioned. Now those attorneys are requesting that the DP be excluded from Stein's trial because they claim he has a serious intellectual disability or serious mental illness. According to the motion submitted Monday, according to the motion submitted Monday by Stein's attorneys, the statute states a defendant who has been determined to be a defendant with a serious intellectual disability or a defendant with serious mental illness shall not be subject to execution. Stein's representation requested a hearing to determine his intellectual functioning and or mental health status before his murder trial. The attorneys also requested that the motion to exclude the DP be set after a resolution is made in their judge recusal motion from December. So this is a case that we're sticking close on, right? But the thing that's interesting to me about this is this appears to be a ploy or a strategy. Let's call it, not a ploy, a strategy to get the court to unseal the evaluation, the mental health screening evaluation that was done on Mickey Steins from jail. That's what it looks like to me anyway. And those guys are your headlines.
True crime headlines.
Pow. Okay. Let's see. You got a super chat. Thank you very much. Says, I would have never thought I would hear Donato y Stefano mentioned here. Yeah, man. I love Donato y Stefano. Quiero beber los besos de... no. How does that go? Quiero como si fueran gotas de rocío. I can't remember how the words are, but anyway, I love Donato y Stefano. D says, why do you think the story has been given so much coverage? D, are you trying to circumvent the 3 questions rule that you send 3 questions to 3questions@gavinfish.com? I think it's been given so much coverage because of the fame of Savannah Guthrie. Yeah, easy peasy. Emmy says, I started following true crime thanks to Sierra Lamar case and the Amanda Knox case. Mooney says, both my boys have amazing insight and patience and the most compassion I've ever seen in young men. That sounds great. Emmy says, for number 3, I'm into pop music as in Backstreet Boys and Shakira. Yeah, Shakira is right where it's at, man. Guys, there is... her first album is called Pies Descalzos. That is a perfect pop album. From the first song to the last, it is the Latin equivalent of Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. It's just, there's just not a bad song. It goes, and it is perfect. So if you are a Shakira fan and you have not listened to the album Pies Descalzos, you need to. It's very, very good. Very good. Real Happy says, my youngest is the funniest human I know. He's 4 years old. That is sweet. Mooney, the consummate music fan and live music fan, says Scorpions were great live. I bet they were. Garth B. Nutt says, Garth Brooks, Jelly Roll, and Blake Shelton are my top 3 artists. You're a country music fan. I don't know much about country music anymore. I kind of left country music kind of at the peak, at peak Garth Brooks. That was the end of country music for me. Not because of anything other than I just kind of changed tastes. Actually, I think it probably is because I moved out on my own, right? So I wasn't around other people that were listening to that, and I wasn't choosing to listen to it. But yeah, I mean, guy could write a song, right? Emmy says, songs, As Long As You Love Me. As long as you love me. Don't go breaking my heart. I want it that way, larger than life. Good stuff. Jules and Me says, Fleetwood Mac, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and Rush. You know, Tom Petty, I came to, obviously, like I graduated high school in 1993. Obviously, Tom Petty was on the scene long before that, but he had an album, and I think it was a greatest hits album that came out in the 90s. I think it was a greatest hits album, and that had Mary Jane's Last Dance on it, and it hadn't been on any other album before. It's hilarious that it was included in the greatest hits album. But it was so freaking good, and I was introduced to it by a girl that I loved. Oh my goodness. And so, yeah, I really got into Tom Petty right around 94, 95. And he is always on my playlist, always on my playlist. Mel Stiller, Ashley Buzzard is a very different kind of beast, man. She sure is. Jenny says, my musical taste is all over. Bob Seger, Cat Stevens, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Eminem, Taylor Swift, Notorious B.I.G., Kid Rock, Gordon Lightfoot, Disturbed, Twisted, Blind Melon. I could go on forever. That's a good list. That is a good list. Oops, it just refreshed. A couple more. Barbelson, was it ever confirmed the judge was having relations with Stein's daughter? It was never confirmed. In fact, it was denied. So that is what is happening there. Guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Once again, I will not be here tomorrow. I've got an appointment that I have to keep that I cannot reschedule. So I will see you back on Friday. Dun, 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 the 13th. Until then, let me just invite you to hang out with us over in the fish tank, which is where we hang out on Facebook. We got a lot of new members, and yeah, lots of stuff going on over there, including posts about, I think this is the car, right? That is Carlos's car right there. You know what's interesting about this picture is that because he's got that like spare tire, the steel rim on the back driver's side, that is a very specific and easily identifiable car. He's also got some damage to his front bumper. You can see that bumper cover falling down. Makes me wonder if Carlos might still have something to do with it. I don't know. But anyway, we hang out over here on the fish tank. You can always reach out to me and read what I'm writing and what I'm reading on Crime Cod over on my website, gavinfish.com. That is in the description down below. Also, I upload this video and its audio to Spotify each night. A great way to support the show is, if you're a Spotify user, to go on over there and follow me over there. That costs you nothing and is a great way to support me, and I deeply appreciate those who already have. With that, guys, I shall bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here. I will see you on Friday the 13th. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.